Good evening, this is BelGeode, and we are back with some more prepared version 4.5, and tonight we are on Tioman Island. Tioman Island is brought to us by Pilots FSG. It is payware, and tonight we're going to be flying around Tioman Island in this bad boy right here. This beauty is the A2A Simulations Curtiss P-40 Warhawk. Now, I decided to do this one because as of this time, unless you've been living under a rock, you know that pretty much the entire world is in a pandemic right now, the COVID-19, aka coronavirus. So as one of their gestures of good faith, A2A Sims has made this aircraft completely free of charge. Go ahead and download it. The link will be in the video description below. I'm going to go ahead and get her started up here, and I'll show you how to get that done, and then we'll go fly around the island and then come back here, and I'll show you why this is also one of the most dangerous airports ever. Alright, so just to catch you up with what I've been doing here, I've turned on our battery and our generator, and I just put our fuel switch to the reserve tank, and I'm going to get the prop safety switch up, and there's another switch to the right of it that's currently in manual. We'll leave that in place, and I think that's everything I need as far as switches. So let's go ahead and get our throttle open 1 inch. Right there should be good. And even though we're normally supposed to keep our mixture off, I'm going to keep it on auto rich for now, and we'll get our magneto set to both. And then of course we're going to need to prime it. Now they recommend that you prime this thing 2 to 4 times, so I like going in the middle, so we're going to go with 3 primes. That's 2, that's 3. Okay, so right click and we'll lock that back up. Alright, now here comes the fun part. So the starter switch on this thing, you've got to hold to engage the starter after you energize it. So we're going to do the energizing right now. You can hear everything start to wind up. You're going to wait until it reaches its highest pitch. And then we're going to flip the switch all the way to the up position to engage the starter. Basically, it's kind of like kick-starting the engine. Okay, I think that is just about where it needs to be. So we'll shout clear prop and flick the switch up. Oh, wait a minute. That didn't work. That did not work. Okay, so my keybind is a little bit faulty. Let's try this again. Alright, so we'll go back to the downward position. We'll energize. Okay, right about there should be good. And then we flip the switch to the up position. Let's see if it will allow me to do that with the mouse here. Okay, hold it down, hold it down, hold it down, hold it down. Aha! Oh, nope, don't you turn off, don't you turn off. Okay, we got it. Woo! Alright, so good engine start. Got some nice white smoke coming out the front there. So that is how you start a P-40. Now, what you may want to do is you may want to set keybinds for the starter energize and the starter engage. It might make life a little bit easier. I'm of course in VR, so I tend to use the mouse as well for that. Alright, and now that we've got everything started, I am going to keep us just over 1,000 RPM roughly, so that way the engine will warm up. Now I did take a test flight earlier, so the engine is for the most part warm. Alright. Let's see. Okay, so we're going to do our controls wipeout really quick here. Okay, ailerons check out. Let's get the elevator. Yep, can barely see the elevator. I definitely can't see the rudder, so we'll just move the rudder pedals, and we'll assume that the rudder is back there moving, so we're good to go there. Alright, we need some lights up in this piece, so let's get our position lights on. There we go. And we're also going to want our landing lights extended. So we'll flip that to the up position. And that'll pop the bulb out and turn the lamp on. We'll get our pitot heat on as well. And I think that's it for the switches. Okay, so our landing gear is right there, and right above it is our trim. I'm going to trim us up just a little bit here. We should also set the rudder trim, but I forget exactly what number to set it to, so I'm not going to bother with it for right now. We are, however, going to get our flaps down. Whoa, too much, too much. Pull them back up. Set takeoff flaps right there. Okay, so we should be good to go. Alright, quick look outside before we get taxiing. Okay, everything looks kosher out there, so we are just about ready to taxi. And we'll take it off the brakes for a while. Now we're going to need to turn around at that end of the runway. And this is a very dangerous runway. Let me just tell you that right now. That's one of the charms about this little island here, is it is one of the most dangerous airports in the world. How they managed to get 737s in here is beyond me. Whew! You'll see. Trust me, you will see before this video is done. I'll show you. Alright, and we just missed a rainstorm, so there may still be some water patches on the runway, so I'm not like smoking out the tires or anything. That's actually just water popping up or spraying all over the place. Okay, I am, however, going to hold short right here, and we'll make sure everything looks good. There's no traffic coming in. There's literally one way in, one way out. You do not want to take off in that direction. You want to land in that direction, and oh man, let me just tell you, that's going to be a pain in the butt. Okay, well, no time like the present. We'll go ahead and taxi over to this end of the runway and do our little turnaround here. Now, since this is an A2A Accusim aircraft, you do have the usual pop-ups. I've taken the liberty of setting this aircraft up the way that I want it ahead of time. So I'm not going to bother to show you the pop-ups, but if you're familiar with any A2A aircraft, you already know how it works. It's like Shift 1, Shift 2, Shift 3, and so on and so forth. And it also includes the Accusim, which means that you can break this aircraft and it will remember that you broke this aircraft. So the next time you load up, you've got to fix it. And I don't mind confessing to you, when I was doing my test flight, I actually tried to land here, and I broke the prop. Yep, I broke the prop. No surprise there, but hey, like I said, this is a very dangerous airport. Okay, so it is also a tail dragger, so as if I don't have enough problems, I've got to like keep looking out the side here, because with a tail dragger, of course, you can't see in front of your nose. So yeah, we got to do this little wig-wag thing. Oh my god, look at that. Whew, that is craziness. Alright, but we are at the end of runway 2, so I'm going to pull up to the threshold here. And then we'll put the brakes on. One test that I do want to do before we take off, I would like to check our magnetos. That is important. Always check your magnetos before you take off. Alright, so to do so, we make sure the parking brakes are on, which they are. And we're going to bring the RPMs up to about 2,000. And I'm just doing that with the throttle. I have not changed the propeller pitch at all. Okay, right there should be good. So let's pull it back to the right mag. We'll check our drop. Okay, looks good. This is nominal. Alright, we'll put it back up to both. Check to make sure it goes back up. Yep, it's over 2,000. And now we'll switch to the left mag. Okay, there's the same drop. That's what we were looking for. And we'll put it back to both. Alright, so now we can come off the throttle. And the last thing I want to do before we get ready to take off, we're going to need full prop pitch. So, first things first, the switch that was on manual, we're going to put it to automatic. And then we're going to change our prop pitch to full. Alright, so I would say we are about ready to go. So it's time for brakes down, throttles up. Alright, well, that was a sterling takeoff. Okay, so let's do some changes here. We'll pull our prop pitch back so that way we're not like overstressing the engine. Definitely don't want to keep it on that red line for too much longer after takeoff. And let's go ahead and close our canopy here. We'll roll, roll, roll. Alright, perfect, perfect. And we can also pull the throttle back a bit as well. And I'll also get our landing lights off. Normally you would flip the switch all the way to the bottom to retract the lights, but I really don't think we're going to be going that fast that it might break my landing lights, so I'm going to leave them out, but just turn them off for now. And we'll do a quick aileron roll here. Love it, love it. Okay, so our speed is looking pretty good. We're just over 200. So let's go to the deck. Ah, beautiful, beautiful. So here's some fun little facts for you. The island that we're flying past is called Pulau Tulai. In fact, a lot of the islands here are called Pulau something, including Tioman. It's Pulau Tioman. Now, Pulau, of course, means island in Malaysian or Malaysian language. I think I just call it Malay if I'm not too mistaken. So yeah, all of these little islands here are considered a part of Malaysia, and of course the crown jewel, if you will, is Tioman Island. However, all the other little islands are represented here as well. Some of them are included with this package. For example, this one here, Pulau Tulai. In fact, Pulau Tulai even has a little helipad on there. I actually thought about doing this episode with a helicopter instead of with this Warhawk. But I think I made the right choice in choosing this aircraft. Now, funny enough, if you are a follower of my Arma 3 video series here on YouTube, one of the things that I can probably kind of leak to you is we are actually going to be going to a map called Pulau, and it's designed to look very similar to this terrain. I have to say, though, that pilots did an absolutely incredible job on this. There are still some slight issues that I have found with the scenery. For example, the runway texture itself, when it's in between wet and dry, it has this tendency of shimmering or whatnot. You'll probably see it when we come into land. You'll see what I'm talking about with that. But as far as the islands themselves, the houses, the trees, and everything, nothing short of incredible. They did an absolutely amazing job on this. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come down a little bit more, and we're going to go back to the outside view, and we're going to fly around here and take a beautiful look at this Pulau Tioman. Now let's talk a little bit about the P-40 itself. Now the P-40 was produced, of course, by Curtiss-Wright Corporation, and it had its first flight on October the 14th in 1938. It was in production from about 1939 to 1944, so pretty much during the entirety of World War II. Hang on, let me switch my tanks from reserve tank to fuselage tank. There we go. Now this aircraft was literally used all over the world. So many countries used variants of this aircraft, including our allies at the time, the Soviet Union. They also were very famous for using this aircraft. If you fly in IL-2, you probably already know this, but other countries such as Australia, Brazil, Canada, China, and in fact, with China and Taiwan, you may notice this livery that I'm rocking here is very similar to the Flying Tigers. The Flying Tigers, of course, being one of the most famous P-40 Warhawk squadrons in existence. They did a lot of work in the Pacific campaign, defending against the Japanese. And actually, fun fact, the Japanese even used captured P-40s, so that should tell you just how cool this aircraft was. Alright, let's do some shenanigans here and see just how well this flight model is. Can we do spin and stall recovery? Yes, we can. Oh boy, let me tell you something, folks. In VR, that is freaky, tumbling all over the sky like that. But A2A did their homework on this aircraft, and as you can see, we are no worse for wear. We're still flying. I do actually want to do a full loop-the-loop though, so I'm going to keep our prop pitch high here. And we're going to gain a little bit of altitude so that way I have some buffer and don't end up in the drink before we actually attempt this. While I'm doing that, let me just run through some quick facts here about the aircraft. Of course, it had a crew of 1, length of 31 feet 8.5 inches, wingspan of 37 feet 3.5 inches, a height of 10 feet 8 inches, and it was powered by one Allison V1710-39, which is a V12 inline engine. And of course it had the typical Curtiss-Wright 3-bladed prop. So that means that we have a max speed of about 334 miles per hour. That's at 15,000 feet. A cruise speed of about 308 miles per hour. A range of about 716 miles nautical miles, and a service ceiling of 29,000. Alright, so there we go. There's the loop-the-loop that I promised you, and I'm going to go ahead and pull our prop pitch back here. Okay, woohoo! So yeah, is this thing a dogfighter? Heck yeah, it is. Although bear in mind that it was eventually eclipsed by other aircraft such as the F-4U Corsair and the Hellcat and so on and so forth. However, for what it was pretty formidable back in the day. As a matter of fact, one of the more famous squadrons that utilized this aircraft initially was the Tuskegee Airmen. So their traditional red-tailed aircraft also graced the P-40 before it graced any other aircraft that they had the opportunity to fly during World War II. Alright, so now that I've gotten all of the facts out of the way, let's head back to the island, and we're going to skirt the coast on the, I think this is the western side of the island, and make our way back to the airport. Now it's interesting to note that there are actually several variations of this aircraft. The primary version, of course, is what we're flying right now, which is the Warhawk. But the Soviets ended up using like the Bravo model, for example, and some of the other countries used the Charlie model. The Americans, when they came to the Delta model, that one actually became to be known as the Kitty Hawk, and that was probably the more famous version of this aircraft that everybody knows about. And I'm shaking my head because I'm looking at that airport and it's unbelievably short. I've seen videos of them getting commercial aircraft into this thing, and they use this thing called the Checkerboard Approach, which we are going to be doing as well. And let me just tell you, it is downright frightening. Imagine something along the lines of the old Kai Tak Airport in Hong Kong. Yeah, we're talking about something like that. So it's going to get real interesting. So I'm going to go out to sea before we make our teardrop turn and begin our approach into Tioman Airport. Alrighty folks, so yeah, this one is going to get interesting. I'm going to tell you right now, I make no guarantees and no promises on this landing here. But we are going to attempt to follow the checkerboard approach, which basically, you're coming into the runway at a 90-degree angle. No, I'm not kidding here. I'm not kidding at all. So we're going to head straight for the beach. We're going to wait till we see the checkerboard. And once we see the checkerboard and start getting over the coastline, we're going to make a very sharp right-hand turn. And we're going to try and bring this aircraft in. Alright, we're going to need our flaps down, so I've taken the liberty of starting that process here, and once we get below 160, which is right about now, we'll get our gear down. We'll also turn those landing lights back on, or actually I should say landing light, singular, because there's really only one on the left wing there, as you can see. Alright, we're also doing the trim tango here because we want to make sure that we stay on speed. And I'm thinking, yeah, right about here should be pretty good, so we'll start leveling her out. And of course we're going to need to give her full prop pitch. We need all the power we can get here to bring this bird in. Okay, so let's go ahead and go outside. Take a quick look, see if we can spot this checkerboard on our way in, and then we can attempt to land this thing. Yeah, about that. Okay, so we've got 3 down and locked on the gear, and our flaps are down as far as I am willing to go. And if you take a look through my little crosshairs there, you will see the checkerboard that we were looking for. It's barely visible. I don't know how big this thing is in real life, but yeah, you can hardly see it. Alright, let's trim us up here because we're starting to get a little fast. Want to keep it right between about 100, 120-ish. Thereabouts. Gonna bleed off a lot of that speed as soon as we make this turn. But yeah, you should see the checkerboard directly in front of me here, and there's our airport off to the right. So as soon as we hit the coastline, we're gonna make this hard right turn. And if you are a religious person, now would be a great time to say a quick prayer for me. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Dropping altitude, dropping power. Over the palm trees. Oh boy, yeah, I don't like that touchdown marker. That is way down there. Alright, let's try to level her out. Dropping power all the way and pulling up just a touch. Come on, baby, level out. Oh, little wobbly, but we're down. We're down. Full back pressure on the stick and love taps on the brakes, and I sure as hell hope that hill is not as close as it seems to be in VR. Oh boy, woo! Alright, that was a challenge. That was a challenge. Like I said, my previous attempt at this failed miserably. Woo! Alright, tell you how much of a challenge that was. I actually have to open the canopy because I feel that the virtual air rushing in my face will help calm me down. I am, of course, kidding, but hey, gotta get into the moment here. Alright, but we are down. We are safe. The only thing I have left to do is to taxi to our stand. So, put that back in manual pitch, or manual pitch control, and course pitch. And here we go. Let's take it back to the airport. So I gotta tell you folks, as far as World War II aircraft goes, this one definitely ranks up there as one of my all-time favorites. Between this, the Corsair, the Hellcat, and of course the P-38 Lightning, these are my absolute favorite fighters from World War II. And I'm really glad to see that A2A Sims has given a lot of love to this aircraft. Of course, this aircraft has been out on the flight sim market for quite some time now, but the main reason, as I explained at the beginning of this video, that I'm calling attention to this is the fact that since we're all hunkered down at home in quarantine for this COVID-19 pandemic, A2A has decided to basically give us this aircraft for free. And honestly, I can't think of a better choice among the A2A stables. So yes, I highly recommend, if you have not done so yet, go ahead and download this sucker right now. The website might be a little bit slow because obviously everybody who owns FSX and P3D is going ahead and downloading this thing, so be advised, it might take a little while for you to get it, but it is so worth it. It is absolutely worth it. This thing is a dream. Nothing short of a dream. Alright, and of course if you enjoy this airport, that is payware. I haven't heard that it is freeware, but the link of course will be in the video description. So thank you once again to A2A Simulations for your amazing Curtiss P-40 Warhawk. This is an incredible bird and I can't thank you enough for it. And thank you to the makers of Tioman Island P3D4 Pilots FSG. While this one is payware, I would definitely recommend you pick it up. I really have not found too much not to love, except maybe that little texture flickering here and there. Other than that, this is a cool little place to be. Alright, but that'll do it for me, folks. Thanks as always for watching. This has been BelGeode flying in prepared version 4.5. If you enjoy what you've seen, please feel free to give me a like, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll be back real soon. Alrighty, folks. Ciao!